Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, G-Funk. Thinking right now here in the lab. I do what I do for you. The sun is coming up now, so I'm right on time. I got a nice lesson for you. We're going to wrap up this chapter with title, conclusion, and then oneness. And if I got more time, we're going to end up with the common features of the mystical experience, aka the goal of mystical philosophy. I'm going to close out with that, so let's get this party started. Rightism, 25 will live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in to receive them. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right Thinker's mission, yeah, that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinkers Way of Life, through mental and spiritual discipline daily, will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is to get all right thinkers to do just that. Right thinkers, your goal is to get the message, use it, and know thyself. That's important. Let's go. I got some messages for you that's going to help you do just that. That's why I'm here every day, to do what I do for you, enlighten you. The question, do you know you? If not, you got a question, that's a rhetorical question, excuse me. But if you don't have an answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. Let's go. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock, here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right there, can know thyself. And to my eye, be true. I'm closing this chapter out. We finally getting to the end. Usually I would have took a whole, maybe an hour or so long lesson, but I tried to break them down. So hopefully it's working for you. If you follow along, you see there's a pattern. Okay, let's go. Now I wrapped it up with the title, Right Thinkers. Let's talk about conclusion. When you're comparing the ancient mythologies and philosophies, what we did, just went through all of them, it is necessary to approach them all with an open mind. I gave the subjective and objective concept. If I did this subjectively, I would have ragged on everything I read that didn't agree with me. I just point out certain things that I didn't subscribe to. I did that, but I wasn't doing it and to disrespect. Just let you know where I stood on that philosophy, that concept. That's all. So it is. So understand that. But when you do it with an open mind, that's what I did. And the idea that no matter how discordant or flamboyant or ridiculous they may seem to appear to be, guess what? There is a basis of truth which underlies them all. Every one of them have a concept or some truth to what they follow, what their mythology says, and purpose. So understand that. That's why I respect religion. I know the purpose. I know the reason for it. So no disrespect to religion. The concept comes when people misunderstand and misinterpret. So, okay, we got that part. Let's go. As a teacher, I like to be clear. In the study, what's this? Of religions, and that's what I do. In philosophies, it may be necessary to what? To discount the local variations of mythological stories. Why? In order to view the commonality of their themes. I try to break down every one of the philosophical points of view, see where they lined up at compared to the others. That's the goal. And likewise, watch this. When analyzing writings, those who claim to what? Have had mystical experience. I remember mine at the back of my hand. And those who have it, it's an epiphany, life-changing scenario, awakening, whatever you want to call it. But when you have it, you'll know. Watch this. Because it is necessary to what? Discount the inconsistent aberrations which may be due to what? their particular mental state of being unenlightened at the time. Once local and regional variation in mythological stories and hallucinatory or delusionary descriptions of mystical experience are stripped away from the religious and the philosophical traditions, it is possible to what? Gain insight into the underlying unity of religious thoughts wherein the major themes have survived to the present day. They include, these are philosophical religious concepts that still work today or still is employed today for those who choose to use it. Again, but what was that bad? I wanted to say something about back here. Okay. When you become enlightened, if you don't have nobody that's training you or that you're following, you don't know what's going on. Okay, it's going to be some things that you ain't going to understand. So that's why it's good to teach and have somebody to teach you. So when it starts to happen, you'll recognize it. That's all. It makes it a lot easier. No, for here. Now let's talk about the thing that still today that survived through the major religious themes. The first one is 8 of them. The human being is more than what meets the eye. I agree. Beyond the body, yes, there is an eternal soul which aspires to achieve greater heights than what ordinary life suggests. I agree 100% with that philosophy. Okay, I agree 100%. Number 2, the soul is immortal. Again, agree. This is not subjective. I'm being objective. I'm just letting you know what I subscribe to, and so far I'm on point with what they're saying. I'm following along. There is one divinity, God, which expresses in many ways. The soul seeks closeness with that divinity, that mystical experience. Again, that's what I'm trying to get my right thinkers to have. That connection with God is called the mystical experience. That's the purpose of all religions, to get all their followers to have that. That's the third phase. First is listening. Second, reflecting. The third is meditating, and that's how you have that mystical experience, by communion with your higher self within yourself. So far so good. Mystical, number 4. Mystical experience requires what? You, the seeker, to cultivate what? A state of mind, aka raise your consciousness, becoming knowledgeable, becoming enlightened, get knowledge. And what happened? That leads to the what? Awareness, that which lies beyond the realm of ordinary senses. We count 5. Smelling, seeing, hearing, touching, and tasting. What about the thought? What about thinking? What about the concept that you have to think? So that's the extrasensory perception, that when you use that right thinking philosophy, that's what you keep on all the time. So you constantly consciously God conscious, as I call it, being conscious of God, your higher self, because you know thyself. Now, you have what the mystical experience requires. Listen, the mystical experience requires you, the seeker, to what? To develop a lifestyle. I told you, right thinking ain't a religion, it's a lifestyle. When you develop a lifestyle based on what? Virtue and both mental and physical health. Study, meditate, exercise daily. That keeps all 3 of the things you need to work on, mind, body, and soul, functioning as one. Okay? Number 6, mystical experience. That's the goal for all right thinkers. Why? Mystical experience leads to an expanded state of consciousness, awareness of what? Reality. So that's what you want to have. The mystical experience, again, right thinkers, that's our goal. Mystical experience is a necessary part of the existence of what? Evolution of the soul. It needs to be enlightened. That's what the mystical experience is. When the soul, watch this, is deprived of the mystical expression through what? Through its own ignorance, mental activity, which is the primary method of what? Expansion of the soul. You may become unstable, mentally ill, and other mental aberrations may result in what? Depression, war, crime, etc. Not a good place to be when you're not striving to be your best self. You're going to fall victim. They say the idle mind is the devil workshop. If you're not focusing, you ain't got your mind on God, you can be God. You become susceptible, okay, to the ego self. We got that out the way. Now watch this. Come on, taking it home now. We're almost there, yeah. The sages realized what? That the coming world age necessitated what? The dissemination of ancient mystical wisdom in what? In a form which who? The masses of the people could more easily have access to and understand. We needed more teachers. We needed more sages. We needed more people putting the message out there. I see right now what I'm doing is a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing, trying to wake us up. So I'm going to follow that. But that's what it's all about. Thus, watch this. We got the hieroglyphic writing and oral traditions, which was before the writing. At one time, we would sit down and somebody tell a story. We get our information orally. We hear it. We be able to reflect on it in our own time and then meditate on it. And the oral traditions, watch this, the teachings kept in the memory of the sage and the initiates, it gave way to what? Writing. From oral, we went to writing. Versions of what? The same teachings. We just wrote them down. That's what they call Egypt the library of stone. Why? So they can't come burn it down no more. They can't chisel it out. So it'll be there for prosperity. And these writings, watch this. These written versions constituted what? Intellectual expansions of what? Mystical wisdom, aka knowledge, which already had existed in what? Both our oral history and was carried on by the Egyptian sage and also in Egyptian hieroglyphic form. Again, passing the information on, keeping it going. Why? Because it's going to last forever. If used, it don't stop, it don't wear out. You just gotta be practiced. I went and picked them up and brought them back to life as far as I'm concerned. Watch this. Now, the development of the hieratic writings in Egypt, they called it cuneiform in the Middle East, Sanskrit in India, were among what? The first in a series of new writing system which what espoused the same philosophy that had existed in Egypt for what? Many thousands of years prior. It's nothing new. Schools of mystical philosophy grew up around such names, listen, as Socrates, Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato in Europe, in Greek, Zoroaster in Persia, Moses and Jesus in the Middle East, Buddha and Patanjali in India, and Liao Zhao in China. The writings of the Greeks acknowledge what? The fact, listen, that they studied mystical philosophy in Egypt. They didn't do that when I was studying Greek mythology back in the 70s. Now, from the current analysis, Kemet Egypt philosophy, what appears to form the basis of Christianity, Hinduism, Vedanta, Sufism, we just talked about that little word earlier, Buddhism, Taoism, and my boys the Druidism, and the Jews, the Kabbalah, got them too. Now the similarity of the tenets of the other systems suggests what? A common origin. Told you. They are but what? Listen, they all are but aspects of the same philosophy of oneness. Everything's come from the. Okay, understand that. And that's the dot. The primordial point, the origin of creation. That dot. Everything came out of there conceptually. So now let's get right into the common features of mystical experience and the goal of The mystical philosophy is for you to have your own mystical experience. Anointed man, God's hood, whatever you want to call it, but you have to have it for yourself. It have to be experienced, not talked about, not read about, not heard about. Experienced. That's the difference. Let's go. I know if I get you to do certain things, you had the experience for yourself. I know that. So that's why I give you what I give you. All you got to do is use it, and you'll see for yourself. All right, let's go. The common features which seem to characterize the mystical experience, which is what? And it have been noted in the philosophical and religious scriptures, what? Of many countries, the following realization may come in a single experience. Understand that. Or may occur when? Several times, either spontaneously or while what? Engaged in what? Formal yoga and meditative practice. That moment of clarity will hit when you're doing and practicing. Trust me. Watch this. And they may occur, watch this, spontaneously once in a lifetime or several times, and what may remain as a permanent feature of one's consciousness. You can't get around it. Why? Because it's there. And they often what? They come in the form of something that suddenly dawns on one. Like the cartoon, when the light bulb going, ding, like, I got it, eureka, yeah. It means I get it, the light go on. That's called, ready? The enlightenment experience. When you get the knowledge for yourself, the light of knowledge goes on. That's enlightenment. They call it enlightenment because you just been enlightened to something and now it makes sense to you. That's the goal for right thinkers. The enlightenment experience, what happens, may occur when? In an instant and in the following moment, the right thinking and mind reactive and makes what? Sense of the experience. When that happens, I didn't know what was going on when it was going on, but I was conscious and realized something going on. And it's all inside me. Somebody's talking to me inside me. So that made all the sense in the world when I had the experience. You couldn't tell me that was going to happen. You could not prepare me for that. I'm trying to help you with it though. So I know when it happened to me, I wasn't ready. So I want y'all to be ready. Why? It's a doozy. And being ready, it can be scary. But watch this. You have to have your own experience and some common realization. Watch this. Are listed below. These are a few things that you're going to go through. If you're a right thinker, when it hits, this is what's going to happen to you. All right? You ready? Get ready. All of a sudden, you know that there is what? Only one consciousness that exists, and that it is what? Your own. That's becoming one with God. Okay, that's number one. That's the first sign. Second one, number two, you discover that what? All that exists depends on what? Your consciousness. You know that creation, the world, depends on what? One consciousness. Supreme. Okay. All conscious. The world is seen as a what? A projection from one who has created it. Again, God sees the world through dreams. Why? He manifests through his consciousness, through his thought process. That's why. Number two. That was number two, excuse me. Number three. One knows that one's consciousness, your soul, is what? Is the same one which what? Which underlies and supports all other human beings. All souls are one. Again, on point. But these are things that you become to realize for yourself. I can read them to you. I can break it down for you. But the key is for you to put yourself in a position to experience it, because that's what happens when you do what? Righteous and virtuous things during the lifestyle, during your daily life. Trust me, things will happen for you. And you will wonder, what the what? Yeah. He takes care of that. So if you claim to be a believer and a follower of God, and when things happen, you don't know why. I don't know how. You ain't that you following. You don't know what's going on. You got to get in sync. Don't worry. The universe will work with you when you work with it. Use it to your advantage. Right thinkers, use the force. All right. Number 4. What's this? One knows that what consciousness is distinct from what your ego personality of others. Watch this. And that is their true inner self. Your true self, not the ego self. Their soul, of which in even they are what? They are unaware, but one soul is one with what? Others. All one. Everything came from him. Everything is part of him. So we all connected. That's what they want you to get to see. Watch this. Immortality is for gods, not humans. We are gods in human form. If we recognize that while we're in human form, when the human form leaves, you go back to the maker. They tell you, body of the earth, spirit, back to the maker. If it's not enlightened, it can't go home. That's the concept. So you have to become conscious of who you are while in physical form. That's the key, right, thinkers? Watch this. Now, how about this one? Where we at? Immortality, one knows what? At once, that one is what? Immortal, infinite, and boundless. When you understand that, spiritually and consciously, when death comes for you, you won't freak out. Why? If you think this is it, and when this is over, it's over, you're going to kick and scream to stay here. That's the ego personality fighting to the bitter end. Okay? That's understandable. It's logical. But that's for the ignorant ones. Okay? One may experience what? Lasting effects from the mystical experience, which may fade in time. For what? Example, one may experience a sensation of being with other people. Okay? Mental telepathy, we used to be able to connect with one another, but just think about each other. Okay? We long gone from that aspect of how we live it. All right, let me wrap it up. Boy, this thing go fast. All mystical experience, and this is what you want to have. Every individual should have his or her own mystical experience. Why? Because all mystical experience is said to proceed from the action of the primal life force. Excuse me. AKA Egyptian, we call it Ra Buto. India, we call it Kundalini, which causes what? Evolutionary changes in what? The physical and the subtle nervous system. Remember, the Kundalini serpent is part of the nervous system, okay? And mental understanding, becoming conscious. If not prepared, here you go. The onset of mystical experience, you ready for this? May cause emotional imbalance, disease, or even insanity. Some people had got so spiritually that they just lost their mind and lost reality. Okay, so without some training and some preparation, you could have some issues. That's what I was trying to tell you before I got here. I already knew where we headed, so I'm trying to give you a heads up why we do this, why I'm trying to explain it to you. I know this already. Okay, again, from experience. For this reason, what's this? Training, again, this is why I do this. For that reason, training in what? Spiritual and occult teaching and the adjustment of one's what? Life in order to integrate the expansion of what? Consciousness is desirable. You have to want to be better. You have to want what I'm giving you, or else it won't work for you. I don't force it. I just give it and put it out there. This knowledge a la carte. Take what you like, let the rest go. Moving on, we're wrapping it up. Excuse me. Now, from the description above that I just gave you, it is evident what? That the mystical experience of what? Oneness with the absolute goes beyond the concept of what? The mind, and lies beyond any form of physical experience, even in the most subtlest forms, where psychic powers such as telepathy, again, out-of-body experiences, astral projecting, and communion with what? The divine personality. All of this occurs in the individual's what? Ego personality is what? Is for that time dissolved. When you raise your conscious level, the ego has no say so. He just go along to get along. Why? He gonna do what he do. When you call him, he'll be ready. Trust me. If he ain't fighting, that's a good thing. That means you got him where you want him, under your tutelage, under your service. When you need him to do what he do, he'll be ready. Always. That's the ego self. And when the higher self takes over, it will acquiesce. When the ego self, at that time, it dissolves into what? The absolute being, meaning it's going to go along. Upon returning, watch this, to normal or your mundane state of everyday consciousness, watch this, your ego personality of the spiritual aspirant is little by little changed, okay? Molded into what? A higher form of consciousness. You're starting to raise your consciousness. You're starting to live better. You're starting to do better. No fetters. That means you're not going through suffering and pain and sorrow from your actions. You're starting to get what? Blessings for your actions because they're right and true and virtuous. That's the difference. Trust me. Now, in the mystical state of consciousness goes beyond what? Previous concepts and consciousness to what? To perceive time, space, and physical reality. It must be what? Conditioned to perceive something called what? Time, space, and physical reality. And during the mystical experience, it becomes what? Absolutely clear through what? One's own intuitional realization. Aha moment. That what? The physical reality is only a what? Reflection of the true reality. One has now proven to him or herself, for yourself again, the validity of the teachings that you learn. Only if you manifest what I'm teaching you, you will know that it works. Any other way don't mean nothing to you. It's just on my bunch I say it. And if you won't manifest it for yourself, it means nothing. It's like prayer without works. Dead. Moving on. Let me finish this up. Now, when the conditioning occurs, when the what? The unconditioned consciousness enters the body and interacts with the what? The world through what? Perception. Instruments of the senses, the five senses. And what happened? It forgets. I keep telling you, spirit consciousness, it forgets its unconditioned state. Why? In the process of conditioning, the conscious soul not only what? Believes that it perceives matter, physical, but also believes, again, it itself is something physical. The body. It thinks it's the body. It thinks this is me. That's the ego self. Watch this. But this is the state of duality in which what? The soul, through its identification with the mind, heart, mind, coherence, body becomes what? Bound to the rules of the physical reality. When the spirit comes into physical form, we got to deal with what comes with the physical, being in physical form. We're no longer spiritual beings, we're human beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience because we're in the physical form. And when you get the rule, you got to abide by the rules of the physical reality, which what? Apply to the mind and body. Now, in the unconditioned state, reached through mystical experience, in the unconditioned state, reached through what? Mystical experience, aka Hotep. The previous notions of duality wherein what? One experiences opposites, male and female, during life, they're shown by the Ankh. And what happened? It dissolves into the ocean of existence, which is the nether, aka the higher being. Wrapping it up. During this mystical state, the mind is what? Temporarily disengaged from conditioned consciousness. Consciousness has now returned to its original state of what? Being unconditioned, not the ego self. Free from identification, which is the ego self. Identification, conditioning with time and space in the body. Self, mind, and here you go, the ego self, right? Watch this. Now the initial onset of a mystical experience sometimes causes what? Extreme awe and even fear. Okay? With time, the experiencer will what? Become more comfortable with your mystical experience, and you may begin to what? Desire to remain in that state, the awakened state. Aha, that I'm aware of what's going on. Oh, I know me. Yeah, that's the state right thing they want to live in. That's the mystical state. Is characterized by what? An initial feeling of rapture, in which there is a what? Pleasurable feeling of what? Release from what? The bonds of the body, followed by what? A blissful feeling. That's what you want to be within yourself. And that only happens within. Stuff don't make that happen. You make it happen within yourself by righteous and virtuous living. And watch this. That blissful feeling. And watch this. Continuation of the experience. Meditation may be used as a what? A deliberate way to seek this mystical experience. It won't happen without meditating and what? To train the mind in order to what? Reproduce it at will. Reach that state of mind whenever you want to. When you see me saying, I'm taking myself to that state of mind. Why? Because I'm about to lose it. I'm about to get back to that place where I'm calm and relaxed. That's Hotep. And watch this. Respond to it at will. Eventually, what? You will possess a form of what? Double consciousness. What's that? Wherein the absolute and the relative realities are what? Equally perceived. When the ego consciousness is fully established in its innate mystical beingness, what is going to happen? Apart from its physical manifestation as a person, then it is said to what? Be free, liberated, saved, complementary opposites, the fuse into what? The being, the netter, the oneness, and then go even beyond any concept of duality. Absolute being, therefore, lies beyond the rapture and bliss and beyond all thought categories. That's knowing thyself. That's reaching the level of Hotep or Nihas. Okay, supreme peace within oneself. That's the lesson. We got through a whole chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. I did. And imparting right thinkers. May you live 100, me 100 minus a day. So I never know that right thinkers have passed away. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll be back. I got more.